McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, we're going to look at the market watch, stocks we're paying attention to, and the local and national stories that you need to know here on this Wednesday. Folks, we've had a good couple days here on the market. Oil has settled back down, kind of with the blockade happening and what's happening over there in the Iran world. So let's get back into it with that market watch. So it's not all rosy today, but the S&P 500 approaches an all-time high today. Even it's up 11 points right now. Dow Jones, though, is down the 177 points, 48,390 right now. The S&P 500, as I said, getting closer to that record, 11 points up right now to 69.77. Nasdaq's up 126 points to 23,765. The Russell 2K, the small cap index, it's basically even. It is teetering here for the last 30 minutes. The market's been open. It's been teetering between positive and negative. Right now, it is down 1.5 points here to 2704. And then there's Bitcoin. Technically down today, but look, it was at 75,000 yesterday, down to 70. Well, just went under 74,000. Just right now in this moment, 73,993 for Bitcoin here today, but staying above that 70,000 for the third day in the row here on this Wednesday as well. As I said, oil prices have stabilized. They are, in the upper $80 range here this week. And it's kind of settling down the market with the optimism that war is over. So we talk a lot about the war and how it's affecting the markets out there. We'll get into some other stories around business and government here coming up in just a moment. But first, we're going to look at some stocks. And the first one, a couple more banking stocks. We looked at some banking stocks yesterday, but today we're going to look at Bank of America. They're all starting to report is what we're looking at. 2.19% up right now for Bank of America. They posted better than expected results for their first quarter. Bank of America earned $1.11 per share, while the expectation was $1.01 per share for them. The revenue was $30.43 billion. The revenue for them, the expectation level for them for revenue, I should say, $29.93 billion. Their strong results, well, equity sales and trading unit were huge numbers here for B of A, and that is why their strong results there based off of those two categories for Bank of America. And that's why they're up 1.87% right now. And then let's talk Morgan Stanley as well. They're up today as well, 4.63% right now. Revenue and earnings beat for Morgan Stanley. Again, their first quarter reporting as well. Trading revenues for Morgan Stanley exceeded the expectation level. Morgan Stanley delivered $3.43 in earnings per share, while the expectation was $3 in earnings per share, and the revenue was $20.58 billion. The expectation was only $19.72 billion from the expectation level. And again, trading revenues exceeding expectations is what bolstered these numbers. Morgan Stanley also up 4.70% right now here on the market. And then let's look at a company, well, a lot of ties here to the Phoenix area specifically. Let's look at First Solar out there. Now, this is green energy, which is taking a hit right now with the Trump administration, but 0.84% down right now for First Solar. It is interesting because in pre-market, they were up about 4% in pre-market trading today, up as well. Reuters came out and reported that China is considering limiting solar power equipment exports to the United States. You don't know, a lot of these solar power companies, well, they get their stuff from China. And obviously, limiting the exports to the U.S. would be a big deal for these companies. The report from Reuters did note that China makes about 80% of the world's solar panel equipment, folks. So obviously, it's big numbers here. Is one reason why First Solar at least is down 0.85% here this morning. Possible equipment shortage coming that way if China does go through with the limiting of their solar export parts of their solar parts exporting. Let's put it that way. Here coming up as well. So when we come back later and look at stocks, we're going to look at some more financial stuff, specifically Robinhood, Webull. Those are two financial services platforms in the news today. We'll talk about them, but based off of a regulation change, by the way. And then we're going to look at Snap as well. They're making some waves here today, and a lot of companies are making waves in the way that Snap is. So we'll look at the Snap stock here coming up. And folks, I'll give you a hint here. It's layoff. Disney's doing more layoffs. Snap layoffs coming up. We'll look at that stock and tell you more about that coming up later on. But that is the trend, at least when it comes to companies. And you know, the Supreme Court came out and deemed the Emergency Act tariffs illegal. About 2 months ago now or so. Well, now we have an update here that Customs and Border Protection, that of course is the CBP, that they have officially completed the primary development of its new system to automate refunds of the tariffs deemed illegal there by the Supreme Court. So now they've been working to launch the system next week and start refunding some of those tariff amounts. So about 330,000 importers are involved in this. They all paid a combined $166 billion in tariffs, all part of those emergency tariffs that were deemed illegal. They are waiting for refunds after that Supreme Court, and it was sometime in February where they struck down those levies. Remember, that was a 6-3 decision. And it wasn't that the tariffs were illegal, it was that using that specific law was what was illegal. The Emergency Act there was what was illegal about it. CBP, they do collect the tariffs. They are in charge of the tariffs. Well, they've warned the immense scale of the refund effort. Well, they've said for a while now that it's going to require time to get this money back to those importers. Officials have been working to launch the first phase of the new system on April 20th. The agency previously suggested importers may need to wait an additional 45 days, to specifically receive your refund. So the site might come up, you might do your paperwork, boop, boop, boop. Might still take 45 days to get that money back into their pockets. The system will be able to process electronic refunds for about 82% of the effective tariff entries. That's going to be about $127 billion in deposits. More than 56,000 importers have already signed up, and that number continues to grow as the system does near its launch. So 330,000 are eligible. Only 56,000 have actually signed up as well. By the way, the 82% that is going to be able to go through this system, the remaining percentage amount will have to go through additional steps, and that's because they've either liquidated, they've shut down, or things to that effect. Won't be able to go to this system here as well. So we're moving that way on the tariff refunds as well. And fertilizer prices, we know this with the Strait of Hormuz. It's not just oil prices that have been fluctuating a lot. Fertilizer prices have very much been affected here by the war in Iran. And we know that they've surged, the fertilizer prices have, in this last month with that war going on. Higher prices, higher costs for that fertilizer all over the United States. That's affecting the agriculture departments or people here in the United States. And the problem with that is, well, spring planting is starting here as weather is improving for a lot of this country. Farmers are being forced to scale back inputs, shift crops, even reconsider how much to plant. That could obviously affect certain crops in the U.S., not just around the world, but here in the U.S. So you see some price increases on a lot of things coming up because of shortages. This is all new survey data from the American Farm Bureau Federation, and it shows fertilizer access and affordability. Well, it's becoming a defining challenge for this year's growing season. We have some stats here for you from this report. Almost 6 in 10, that'd be about 58%. The farmers, they report worsening financial conditions and rising input and fuel costs as well. Now, this survey was conducted between April 3rd and April 11th. And so that's what they're reporting as of that time frame. A major share of farmers say they cannot afford all the fertilizer they need. Now, it isn't. It is set up differently through different parts of the United States, right? For instance, in the Midwest, about half said they could not afford the fertilizer that they need. That share was at least 66% in the western, northeast, and southern regions, meaning 66% aren't able to afford the fertilizers. Producers in the South are the most exposed to the fertilizer prices as well. 19% of the farmers in the South actually pre booked fertilizer ahead of the season. That is a number that is very low. The Midwest, 67% locked in supplies early, which means they got lower pricing. That timing issue, right? Of if you didn't pre-order, if you did pre-order, that is a huge number difference here for these farmers. Farmers who didn't pre-buy, well, they're facing these really high prices right now, and the ones that did pre-buy got the lower prices. So because the southern farmers didn't pre-buy at a level more than 19%, 78% of southern farmers say they can't afford all required fertilizer. Only 48% in the Midwest, who had a huge pre buy number, are saying they can't afford it at that time. So the crop mix is obviously a concern here. More than 80% of rice, cotton, peanut producers, they say they're unable to afford necessary fertilizers. Those crops will be most vulnerable to reduced yields this season. Yeah, folks, did you see that? Rice, cotton, peanut producers. Look for some big price increases coming up in those areas and shortages as well as coming your way. So, fertilizer in this war in Iran, it's not just about oil. It's about to affect us in a lot of different ways out there as well. And this story here is just a quick little blurb, just giving you a heads up if you're, whatever you're going through in life, divorce, job searching at work, on a work computer, murdering someone. I don't know. Committing a crime, I guess I should say. I don't have to go so specific with murder. But a ruling happened yesterday that has judges sending rip waves and warning all of their clients to not do one specific thing now. Like when you're going through a divorce or you're dealing with something, they say don't post about it. Don't post about it on the social media. Stay quiet about it. Well, a federal judge in New York ruled yesterday that AI chatbot conversations, they have no attorney-client privilege, and the judge actually ordered a fraud defendant to hand over 31 documents generated through Claude, which is Anthropic's AI chatbot. Yeah. Which that ruling right there said, stop using AIs because it could be to go against you in court. More than a dozen major U.S. law firms have actually published clients' advisories warning that AI chats could be demanded as evidence as both criminal and civil cases moving forward. Privacy policies, by the way, on some of these chatbots, specifically OpenAI and Anthropic, they actually say that they allow sharing user data with third parties, and those sites state that users should not expect privacy within their chatbot inputs. So, just an alarm being sounded out there in the world of whatever you're dealing with out there. Don't Google it. Don't go to an AI chatbot and put it in either, because it can become and work against you out there. And whatever your life problems are here today, sound the alarm bells. Hey, we got some standards here on what's happening with the housing market, and this shouldn't surprise you at all because there is a stalemate. As you know, people aren't moving out of their houses, interest rates still above 6%. And now we're getting these figures that more than half of all outstanding mortgages, well, they carry rates below the 4% at the end of 2025. Realtor.com put this reporting out as well. So few borrowers with rates deals, that 4% or lower, few borrowers are willing to move or pay off their homes early now that mortgage rates are a lot higher, that 6-7% range right now. That reluctance to move and give up that below market mortgage rate, well, they're calling it something. They're calling it the lock in effect. It has profound effects on the housing market, contributing to 3 straight years of home sales near multi decade lows. Few sellers, mean prospective buyers, have little inventory to choose from. Low supply has driven up the home prices in pretty much every market out there as well. And I've been telling you guys all along, the market is not going to start taking off again till you figure out this home issue. And part of the home issue is people with sub 4% rates aren't moving. That's a lot of them. There's over half of outstanding mortgages are under 4%. Yeah. Hey, the share of homeowners with sub 4% rates, well, it was at 65% of the market back in 2022. So obviously, we're several years later now. The number has only gradually moved down thanks to that locked in uh, phenomenon, they're calling it. And interest rate buy downs offered as incentives to some buyers of new construction homes, are getting people down into that 4% level. But that is a big issue. People just hovering with those low interest rates, and it's affecting the market. Why would you move unless you had to and get a higher interest rate, unless there's a life event that needed you to do that? Why would you move and do that for that higher interest rate? Because that's a big difference in what size house you can get and what type of house you can get as well out there. We just talked about the lawyers sending the waves out there saying, be careful what you put in the chat bots, civil, even criminal offense stuff. Well, now we're finding out that people are turning to artificial intelligence tools for health advice. Yes, we all know it. People go to WebMD where you find out, hey, I got a bump on my elbow, and they're like, you're dying. That old joke. Well, people are turning to artificial intelligence tools for health advice, and it's become a habit for a lot of Americans across several areas of ages as well, categories. We get this all from a West Health Gallup Center for Healthcare in America poll. It did come out yesterday. So it was conducted in late 2025, this poll was. It was backed up by at least three other recent surveys and similar findings. And here's what it found. Roughly one quarter of U.S. adults had used an AI tool for health information or advice within the past 30 days. Most Americans using AI tools for health purposes, well, they say they want immediate answers, as that's why they're using it. In some cases, it helps them evaluate what kind of medical attention they need to seek after. The Gallup survey found about 7 in 10 U.S. adults who have used AI for health research in the past 30 days, well, they say they wanted quick answers, additional information, or they were just curious on why their arm's falling off, I guess. Majorities used it to research before seeing a doctor. Some actually did it after an appointment. A lot of people did, just to follow up and see if the doctor was kind of on the right pathway there. The findings suggest that the rise in AI tools hasn't stopped people from seeking professional medical care. It's more of supplementing it, finding out who they should go see beforehand, and afterwards just kind of double checking what they found out. But people aren't bypassing doctors, which is, I guess, a good sign there as well. About 8 in 10 U.S. adults say they have sought out a doctor or other healthcare professional for health information in the past year. About 3 in 10 say that about AI tools and chatbots. Yeah, that was another one of those supplemental polls there, the KFF poll. It was conducted in late February. So this is one of those supplemental polls. There's another one that was supplemental to the Gallup poll, the Pew Research Center survey. It was done in October of last year. It found that 2 in 10 U.S. adults say they get health information at least sometimes from those AI chatbots. 85% said about the same about healthcare providers as well. So the supplemental surveys over the last several months, also leading us to these conclusions. But there are a few indications that some Americans are using the AI for health advice. Well, simply because they're struggling to obtain professional medical care. We all know what's happening here in the market with the, healthcare cost and down payments, et cetera, kind of dealing with it. So people are kind of leaning on that a little bit, not as much as you'd think here, but also low income people. Again, it comes down to cost and stuff. They tend to be the ones that use it to supplement doctors, but it is a small percentage points that are doing it on that level. The bigger thing is 8 and 10, right, are using it to supplement their doctor visits, etc. So when we come back here in McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. Hey, it's tax day. You either have to do your extension by today or get them filed by midnight tonight. Hey, if you're running around this morning watching us here early here at 7 a.m., I got some Krispy Kreme update for you if you want to get some free donuts on tax day. Tell you how you can do that coming up here later in the program. So come on back. It's McCollum on Business. back here in McCollum on Business. Appreciate you joining us for this Wednesday show. Don't forget, it is tax day today, so get your extension in and or file by midnight tonight, folks. Got a little bit of that to do here later on today myself. And I got a little present for you. If you're going by Krispy Kreme this morning or you're thinking about, what can I do for the office today? Well, I got something coming up for you here later in the show because it is tax day with Krispy Kreme. So stay with us for that. And of course, we're about to get back into that market watch. But first, let's talk about, right, the real matrix that is out there. Last week's episode on Friday is out there. The numbers are ticking up on this show, and we can't thank you enough for that. They were already strong, and they are growing stronger. And look, you can find it as well. Fridays, 10 o'clock here at Robat TV. New episodes come out. Then at noon, well, it goes out on Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media, where you can find the new shows there of The Real Matrix. It does come out at noon on Rumble and on your free podcast systems, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart. They're at noon as well. Just search The Angry Patriot. Search The Real Matrix, Angry Patriot. It'll come right up for you there as well. But look, folks, go to Rumble for the full episodes of those shows as well, for those of you that want to watch it. Our sports programming is on Rumble now as well, starting last week. Good success so far there as well. Of course, you can find it on YouTube also. So rumble.com/users/TME Media. They're on Rumble. Well, on YouTube, just search TME Media AZ, and it comes right up for you as well. Follow us on X on TME Media AZ. That's our parent company. That's where we put stuff out regarding the show's announcements, like our draft party coming up next Thursday for the NFL Draft, 4 p.m. It'll be live. Me, Bruce Cooper, Del Hellestrey, and some special guests coming in as well, scheduled to come in there next Thursday. You can follow TME Media and get a lot of that stuff out there. As soon as we're done here, we get this up on demand, not just on Robat TV, but on TME Media AZ on YouTube, on the Rumble page as well, rumble.com/user/TME Media. Of course, we move on to the main event live 8 to 10 a.m. here at Rumble. And then we put that up on demand, YouTube, TME Media AZ. The podcast systems, just search the main event with Steven or the main event with Dale. It pops right up for you there. As well, of course, TME Sports Show on X is where you can follow us. The text line, 623-252-6670. Text us anytime you'd like with whatever feedback you have on whichever show that you're enjoying with us as well, folks. And then, of course, the Pit Stop. Coming out later today, we look back at Bristol last weekend. We look at racing this weekend, including IndyCar getting back underway. Come and join us. That'll be up by 2 p.m. here on Wednesday as well. The Pit Stop. On demand, of course, on the YouTube page, on the Rumble page, free podcast for that as well. Just search the Pit Stop with Steven. It comes right up. And, of course, the Pit Stop Talk on X to follow us on that social media. It's busy times around here, folks. And with that being said, it's also busy around the marketplaces and in the business world. So let's get it going with the Market Watch. Told you earlier, the S&P 500 still ticking towards that all-time high. The Dow Jones, though, is down the 171 points right now to 48,405. S&P 500 up 25 points now. It was up only 11 earlier in the show. 69.92 is what it is at right now. Nasdaq's also up 194 points, 23,826. The Russell 2K, that small cap index I told you, is just fluctuating between positive and negative. Right now, though, it is up 5 points to 2711 for that Russell 2K. And then Bitcoin, well, I will say calling a rebound right now, right? Even though it's basically that 339 points can get wiped out in about 2 seconds here on Bitcoin. But it was going down and in that high 73,000 range earlier. Well, it's back up 74,496 for Bitcoin as of right now. But most importantly, looks like, at least for these 3 days, out of that high 60,000 level that it was trading at for a month or two back over the time. And stocks we're paying attention to right now, speaking of cryptocurrencies and stocks and basically financial services platforms, let's talk about Robinhood out there. Yeah, they're 7.98% up today for them. So a lot of financial service platforms actually are up today. It's all because of news that's out there that the SEC They're going to end limits on day trading for smaller retail investors, meaning more money trading going to be out there for quote unquote day traders for retailers. 7.86% up right now for Robinhood. Next one we're going to look at is one called Webull as well. This stock also up today, 8.25%. And pretty much, if you're a financial services platform, specifically if you deal with retail customers, a la these two, well, you're going to be up today because if you end limits on day trading for those small retail investors, means more revenue for you as they day trade out there, and whether you day trade for profits or not is the question, right? Moving forward. Then we're going to look at Snap. I told you a lot of companies doing layoffs and announcing them. Disney yesterday announcing 1,000 layoffs in their TV sector, TV and film areas as well. 1,000 employees coming up here. Apple's closing 3 stores coming up here as well. So we're starting to see, more announcements here in terms of cuts. Well, Snap's in line with that as well. These are big ones here for this company. They are up 6.07% right now in terms of the stock market, but they say they're going to lay off up to 16% of its workforce. Snap did say it's trying to reallocate resources toward growing net income profitability. They do say there's other objectives, but that obviously is the big one out there. So Snap, 16% of the workforce about to be let go. 6.25% up right now for Snap based off of that news. So we're starting to see some companies make some big cuts here for the profitability side of things, especially we've seen it a lot in tech. And I consider Snap a tech company, obviously. Snapchat, parent company there as well. And got a couple warnings here for you, right? We warned you earlier about using ChatGPT and Claude and these OpenAI chatbots. If you have anything pending in your life that you don't want out there, don't use those because they can be shared and used against you. Well, keep this in mind as well. We all know scams are out there, and Attorney General here in Arizona, Chris Mays, came out yesterday, and I saw this statement, and she's warning residents about an increase of construction scams. Remember, about a year ago or so, Phoenix has decided to allow guest houses, casitas to be built in the backyard of homes with certain regulations without being restricted like they were before. Well, that passing ruling now has scams targeting those small guest houses and casitas built in backyards. Families looking to build a guest house or casita, well, you should exercise caution. Reports of construction scams are on the rise. Scammers are accepting thousands of dollars for upfront payments, despite never breaking ground on the project and moving forward with it. Now, the AG spokesperson came out. His name's Richie Taylor. He says that the fraudsters often make polished proposals, which make them look legitimate, and that gains the trust of the victims. He did give some advice to avoid being scammed. These are common sense ones that should always be the case. Never pay large dollar amounts up front. Never be pressured by someone who's promising to fulfill a project like this really fast, right? That should be a red flag when they say, "Well, I'll have it done next week." Yeah. Do your research, get multiple written estimates from different contractors, use a credit card or even a construction loan in order for the payments because you can pay over time as deadlines have been met so that you're not out the full amount, right? So that's just where, they get paid every 2 weeks as like you have the roof on by this date. Okay, you get paid. You get the roof on, the walls are done by this date. You get paid type of things is what they're recommending to keep it out there. Because obviously, if they don't do the work, you don't get paid, and you don't take out the loan, and they don't get paid. For instance, Taylor did say the Attorney General's office has received a spike in these scams over the last few months. And like I said, the popularity of them are increasing because of wages, and instead of buying another house, let's just do a mother-in-law suite, or my office can be outside. But also, like I said, the rules that were passed here over the last year or so around them being built also up there. So a warning for you from the attorney generals out there. And maybe another reason why you got guest houses and casitas in backyards. Yeah. A new report from the Common Sense Institute. They're claiming Arizona is now one of the least affordable states in the United States. Yes. The report's authors considered costs for housing, utilities, gas, groceries, childcare, insurance, and taxes. All the expensive things we deal with in life. And they came out and calculated how much income the average household in each state would have left over after covering those expenses. Arizona itself in this survey ranked 45th among states for affordability. Last time I checked, there were 50 states, folks. So we're definitely at the bottom of this report. The report does note Arizona has become less affordable just in the last few years. Before the COVID pandemic era, the state ranked 33 here for affordability. The report does estimate Arizona's household needed to spend $19,300 more per year on essentials in 2025 compared to 2019. So almost 20,000 more on essentials here compared to 2019. So at least according to this survey, we're 45th out of 50 there in those numbers. So I think we all feel it, right? And now it's just no matter how much money you have, you feel the added expenses, especially on insurance, right? We've told you the stories of insurance is up 48% over the last 3 years here in Arizona as well. So that just that number alone, and we all know what gas is doing right now as well. Well, now we got that number right. We're not affordable. We're in the least affordable states according to that survey. But we also continue to be an attractive city here for companies looking to relocate their headquarters. CBRE gives us this report. So it did rank Phoenix number 4 in the U.S. for gaining the most corporate headquarters. We were in a three-way tie with Nashville and Tampa, Florida. A net gain of 6 headquarter relocations in 2025. So, Dutch Brothers was a big one last year. They moved their headquarters from Oregon to Tempe as well. That was a big one. Another one, the Cognite we told you about. They're a big software company. They moved from Norway to the Phoenix area in late 2025 as well. Neurocatch was another big one we talked about. They chose Phoenix as home of its new U.S. headquarters coming up here. And, of course, last week we told you about KB Homes. They're moving their headquarters from California to Tempe. So we continue to be a hotspot, even with that least affordability rankings we just told you about. So according to a CBRE report here, last year there were 164 headquarter relocations. That was up from 96 in 2024. That's a big difference. Back 2021, there was 137 of them moving. The top U.S. metros for net headquarter relocations in 25. Dallas-Fort Worth had 11. Miami had 8. The Miami one I can get. Dallas-Fort Worth, not so much. Hey, we all know it's tax day, so pay attention here. If you're headed on your way into the office, want to do something for your office, want to get something ready for your stressed out workers trying to finish their taxes or doing their extensions, well, Krispy Kreme wants to help you out here as well. Yes, they do. Customers who purchase any dozen donuts at a regular price, you can get a second original glazed dozen for free here today. The company announced this to USA Today. The offer includes in-shop and even drive-through options, but it is limited to 2 dozen donuts per guest, so you can't go crazy. Customers who order any dozen at the regular price for pickup or delivery, well, you can use the promo code TAXBREAK, all capitals, no spaces, to receive a free original glazed dozen. There's also a limit of 1 free dozen when ordering online or via the website or app also. So go get your free Krispy Kreme donuts, folks, coming up here today. You're headed into the office. But on another note, I saw this as well with Krispy Kreme. They recently introduced its new spring seasonal collection of donuts. Yes, I can't just get a regular donut. That was so fall of 25. The collection features 2 new flavors, 2 returning flavors as well. So it's been available since April 7th, I saw. Krispy Kreme shops, obviously around the country, full availability. So it's available for a limited time. Here we go. Hershey's Double Chocolate Donut. An original glazed donut dipped in Hershey's milk chocolate icing and topped with chocolate-flavored buttercream. I'll have 3 of those, please. Strawberries and cream donut. That's an unglazed donut with two fillings in every bite, featuring strawberry filling and fluffy cream. The donut's dipped in bright strawberry icing and finished with swirls of vanilla flavored icing. My mouth's starting to water, folks. I'm tripping over my words. Banana pudding donut, an unglazed shell donut filled with banana pudding cream, dipped in vanilla flavored icing, and topped with crushed wafer cookies and buttercream flavored dollop. There's even for you blueberry fans, an original glazed blueberry cake donut. That's an original glazed cake donut with blueberry flavor and blueberry flavored bits. Yes, folks, go get your limited time spring collection of donuts. Just don't wear them after Labor Day. In addition to donuts, Krispy Kreme has also introduced the Cookie Blast Latte. It features cookie dough flavored syrup blended with chocolate sauce, topped with whipped cream, and a sprinkle of cookie crumbles. It's available hot, frozen, iced, however you want it. It's available as well. So, folks, divert your way in. For those of you listening to us on your way into work today, we know you're out there. Stop at Krispy Kreme, help supply your offer, or just for you. I'm not saying you have to share them. Krispy Kreme donuts here on this tax days. Good luck this afternoon on your taxes and finishing them up if you haven't done so already. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, Thursday, McCollum on Business. The main event's coming up next live, 8 to 10 a.m. Hit stop later in the day as well. Catch us there on YouTube, TME Media, or on Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media there. Or excuse me, on YouTube, it's TME Media AZ there for you. TME Media AZ on X as well for our parent company. Give us a follow there and see what we're doing here. And we'll see y'all tomorrow, everybody. Main event coming up, 8 o'clock. See you then.